I'm from SIREN. SIREN is Services, Immigrant Rights, and Education Network. We've been around for almost 40 years, serving immigrants and refugees in San Jose. This presentation we do almost every day somewhere. We were here with some of you all last night, here with Alum Rock School District. And it's really important for us that you all have this information because the situation is could be somewhat challenging the times that we live in right now, and we want to make sure that everybody is comfortable and knows their rights. So we're going to get started. I just wanted to let you know that I'm not an attorney. I'm not a representative accredited by the Department of Justice, so I cannot give you legal advice. If you have any detailed questions about your case, contact legal counsel or an attorney, or you can always call SIREN because we do have attorneys on staff. I'm not an attorney, but we have attorneys on staff. As I said earlier, our mission has always been to empower low-income immigrants and refugees through community education, these kind of programs, and organizing, leadership development, policy advocacy, civic engagement, and legal services. A lot of people know us for legal services. We believe that all people, regardless of legal status or nationality, are entitled to essential services, human dignity, basic rights and protections, and access to full participation in society. So we've been working this way for since our start, and we're going to continue to do so, no matter how good or bad the times are. Want to ask you a question? Someone can tell me what ICE is. And no, it's not what you put in your drink. You'd be very, very, very surprised how many people still don't know what ICE is. And a lot of the people that might not know are people that are in our community. They don't associate ICE with immigration. ICE equals migra. ICE equals immigration. And it's the acronym for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. ICE is a civil law enforcement agency within the Department of Homeland Security. These are the agencies that enforce immigration laws. This is the way you can identify the agents that work for immigration. There's different types. Some people work at the border. Some people work at customs. There's a lot of different ways, okay? You're going to see them, as you see in the picture, dressed in dark blue, dressed in black, dressed in olive green, with their various logos that pertain to the work that they're doing. Sometimes you're going to see ICE with the vest, they say police and ICE, okay? And super important that you know how they look. More important than that, here are the vehicles. Vehicles are white with a green stripe. If you see white with a blue stripe, that's the Department of Homeland Security. White with a green stripe is the Border Patrol. Now, where are we? We're in San Jose. We're not that close because the Border Patrol is patrolling 100 miles from each border. One of the borders is with Mexico, and we're more than 100 miles from Mexico. We're more than 100 miles from Canada, but we're less than 50 miles from San Francisco. And that's where it's considered where they can come in and check on things because it's less than 100 miles. Okay, now we have it down here. Let me just close this out. We've shown you how the vehicles look. We've shown you how they're dressed. And the reason we've done that is because you probably won't see that here. What you're going to see are unmarked vehicles, black, white, gray, dark blue. You're going to see unmarked vehicles. You're going to see people dressed. They might have a uniform, but most times they have like just regular clothes. They might have a vest on. They might have a mask on. And the reason that we want to make sure that you know what they're supposed to look like is because that's not what's coming over here. What's coming over here are the unmarked cars and the folks that have masks, dressed in civilian clothes, with a vest, and sometimes without a vest. Okay. In the beginning, when we started doing these presentations, They probably wanted you to think that immigration is not around. It was to try to fool the community that they're not here because they're not seeing these cars that are marked. When they were playing, nobody would know. But now, no one's trying to hide it anymore. They're in unmarked vehicles. If you look at a license plate, it might say US government on it. More often than not, you see these lights, very likely it's ICE. They're here. They're here every day. And the reason that we put this program together is because the United States Constitution establishes certain rights for everyone, regardless of immigration status. And the reason that we're here today is because we want to teach you to learn and practice your rights so that you can prepare for an encounter with ICE. Dios quiera que no, let's hope it doesn't happen. We also want to teach you helpful steps that you can take now before an encounter with ICE. What we've learned through all of this time, since we've been doing these presentations, that if people assert their rights, they might be able to avoid deportation or detention from ICE. And so there are three critical defensive rights that we would like you to learn about today. And I'll try to ask you before we get done because I think it's super important. First critical right that you need to know is the right to remain silent. Okay. Second critical right you need to know is you have the right to not open your door to immigration, to ICE. Third critical right, you have the right not to sign anything before speaking to a lawyer. So these three rights: don't say anything, don't open your door, don't sign anything. So try to remember that because I'm going to ask you if you remember. Aside from learning about what these rights are, we got to learn what to say. A lot of times we don't know what to say. Okay, first of all, for the right to remain silent, you can say something like, I'm asserting my right to remain silent. Am I free to leave? For the right to not open your door to immigration or ICE, you can say something along the lines, I do not consent to a search. Do you have a warrant signed by a judge? And we'll show you about what that means later on today. And for the right to not sign anything before speaking with an attorney, all you have to say is, I want to talk to my lawyer. That's simple. Okay. So those are the key phrases that it's sad that we have to normalize saying them, but we got to practice. Why are these rights important? You can avoid ICE arrest, or if you are arrested, if you assert your rights, it could give you an additional way to fight a deportation case. And it's super important that we start learning about these so that ICE can know that you know what your rights are. There are certain myths that come along with knowing your rights. People think that ICE can't enter into a school, ICE can't enter into a place of worship, ICE can't enter in places like hospitals. They can enter anywhere they want. However, they generally do not do this because of the image it portrays. They don't want society to see them doing the things that they're doing. And when it comes to school, it's super important that you all know that I don't know exactly what the district guidelines are, but every district now has certain guidelines for any kind of encounters with ICE. Say, for example, they come to the school, they can go to the main office, main lobby. Anyone can go in there, but past that, they cannot go if the school or if the district does not give them clearance to do that. And that's where a lot of people think, oh, well, they're going to come and we need to have our kids safe. Well, I think you should can be easily persuaded or not easily persuaded. You can be easily how could I put the word, calm down that your kids will be safe because they can get through the lobby, but anything past the lobby, the principal's offices, the vice principal's offices, the nurse, anybody who is behind a closed door is safe. Any classroom is safe because their door is closed. They're behind a closed door. So it's going to be super important. And I'm sure they have already spoken to their staffs at the schools of what is going to happen. That they can keep the door closed, things like that, and they'll be safe. The next myth is that ICE will give you a lawyer. No, ICE will not give you a lawyer. That is a myth. If you don't have a lawyer, ask for a list of pro bono lawyers or ask your consulate to help find one for you. They don't have to give you a free lawyer, but you can get one at a low cost. Three, ICE will tell you your rights like the police do. They'll tell you the rights like the police do. ICE is not required to tell you anything. If you get picked up, you have no rights. So what we're trying to tell everyone is just don't waste your energy on those kind of things. Don't waste your energy on trying to tell the ICE, you know what, I have rights, I this, I that. The situation is already going to be aggressive, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that if you try to tell them, it's going to be worse for you in the long run. It could escalate a situation that doesn't need to be escalated. When things calm down, you will be able to get your justice. And remember when I told you that there were certain rights that we all had, whether we had papers or not, whether we had legal status or not? Well, here we're going to talk about that now. The Constitution of the United States establishes uh, by the Fourth Amendment that we all have the right to not open our door to ICE agents. ICE officers must have a warrant, that is, an order that is signed by a judge or a magistrate to be able to enter your home. And rarely, ladies and gentlemen, rarely do they ever. A warrant by ICE is not a judicial warrant. The warrant that they present to anyone must be signed by a judge, and we're going to show you what that looks like later. So when they come to your house, what you do is you ask them to slide any documents they have under the door or out the window, but never, never open the door. Why don't we open the door? Even just a crack can have them push their way in and they could escalate things. And if you open your door, you lose certain rights. Okay. And remember, never sign anything without first speaking with a lawyer. So, Fourth Amendment, do not open your door to ICE agents. Fifth Amendment, if ICE comes to your home, you don't have to answer their questions. If ICE detains you while you're on the street or at work, you don't have to answer their questions. Remember, we don't sign anything without first speaking with an attorney. And you can tell ICE you're using your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and ask if you're free to leave. Or you can ask, you can just show them the red card. Have any of you seen the red card? This is the red card. The red card lays out exactly what I just spoke to you about. Those are the Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. Do not open the door. Do not answer any questions from an immigration agent. Do not sign anything. Show this card to the agent. A lot of times when you see these cards, they're in English on one side and they're in another language on the other. SIREN carries English on one side, Vietnamese on the other, or English on one side, Spanish on the other, but they have them in every language you can imagine. Okay, and it's really important. This card, you might think, oh, some little card. No, it's very important because what it does, it's going to speak for you if you cannot. Because should ICE show up, they're not going to show up just one person. May I see your red card? No. They're going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, aggressive, trying to get you detained. You're going to be dealing with those officers in your face. You're going to be dealing with your family freaking out, especially if ICE tries to grab you to get you in their vans or whatever. It's going to be very, very chaotic. So showing this card when they're in your face is your way of telling them, I know my rights. You can't do this. Okay, sometimes they stop, sometimes they don't. But we ask that you keep this card anywhere where your person or your family is going to be. in your pocket, in your purse, in your backpack, in the kids' backpack. We have kids in the diaper bag or the stroller if there's a baby, in your jacket, in your purse, in the car, on each sides of the car, in your office. If you have like a lanyard that you have for work or whatever, there in between the phone, the cover on your phone and the phone. And if there's anyone that may be just, have some kind of a disability or is older, on the cane, on the walker, on the tape it onto the wheelchair. Very important that you always have these cards with you. If ICE comes to your home, you got to stay calm. Keep the door closed. Ask them why they're here. Ask for an ID or a badge. Ask them if they have a warrant, and the warrant has to show full name, correct address, and it has to be signed by a judge. Remember, you have the right to remain silent. Keep the door closed. Do not sign anything. And if they force their way in, do not resist. Say something like, I do not consent to your entry of or your search of these premises. I am exercising my right to remain silent. I wish to speak to a lawyer as soon as possible. That's your home. Car, same thing. But remember, a car has more windows and more doors. So if you get pulled over, stay calm. Just like with anything with law enforcement, keep your hands where the officer can see them. Before you say your name, ask the officer who they are and to show you their badge. Drivers and passengers have the same right to remain silent. You have the right not to give consent to a search of your car. Anyone in the car can say that. Remember that your rights in the car are the same as in public, and please make sure to assert your rights. I want to show you how, you can see if you're driving, your hands on the dashboard. I mean, on the wheel. If you're a passenger in the front seat, it's on the dashboard. But I do want to show you what will happen, and I'm put my camera back on if there's people that sit in the back. And folks that are sitting in the back are mainly kids and mainly older folks. They're the easiest to intimidate. So we're going to show you how to show them how to have their hands so that their hands, number one, can be seen, and also so that they don't try to open the door or put the window down or put the window, whatever, for the ICE agents. Okay. So if you look at see my hands, like I'm going to pray and then clasp, and clasp, pray, clasp, pray. Practice it. You don't have to show me, but practice it because you will have to show someone. Now, in the back seat, you can tell the kids, keep your eyes on me. Don't listen to them because they're going to be yelling and banging on the window. Keep your hands together and keep looking at me. Kids and adults in a way, and on the older adults, in a way, they're the same. They trust you more than they trust anyone else. So if you're telling them, keep your hands together and keep looking at me. That's all you need to do, because then no one's going to try to reach and open the door. No one, because they will be telling them, hey, open this door. If you don't unlock this door, I'm going to take all your family with us. I'm going to take everybody to jail, or whatever they say. And they'll say a lot of stuff. So just have them put their hands together. And I'm not saying that you'll lose, that you can lose, but it can hurt. You want the officers to see their hands. Remember, your rights in the car are the same as in public. Make sure to assert your rights. Remember to say things. Learn how to say this. I do not consent to your search of this car. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I wish to speak to a lawyer as soon as possible. And these, if you remember, I was talking about warrants. And warrants are, it's paperwork when they're trying to get someone. It should have a name on it because they're trying to, detain you. They're trying to deport you. They're trying to put you in jail. The judicial warrant, as we told you, has to be signed by a judge. And it has to have certain things: person's name, person's full address, signed by a judge. Look on this left side. Nada. There's nothing. No date, no name, nothing. Look on this right side. no date. It has Roberto Gonzalez. It has a name, but look down here. It is not signed by a judge. If you can see the signature of an INS official, somebody from the immigration, not a valid warrant. This is another one that's not valid. As you can see, nothing on it. There's a date on it, but that's it. But if you don't know the difference and someone hands you this, you're going to think it's very official. And you're going to think that they can take me with that. Well, they can't because there's nothing. Okay. Now I'm going to show you one that's valid. 99% of the time, if you file something in a legal document in the United States, it's going to have stamps on it. If you can see here, received, filed, uh, accepted, or whatever. Okay, pretty much every legal document in the United States will have that. On this side, it's just kind of giving an example of what would be on it. It will always tell you what court it is, what district it is, that it is a warrant, that it is for a person, that here's the address. Look down here, signed by a judge. And some judges will just have their name, but it will always have as a title, United States Magistrate Judge, Superior Court Judge, whatever. It'll always say judge. Sometimes it'll have the honorable in front of them, sometimes not. Okay. But it's always, this is another example of a valid warrant. Same information, all the information is supposed to be there. But if you look down here, signature by the judge, has the judge's name, U.S. Magistrate Judge. A judge is never going to sign something that doesn't say he's a judge or she's a judge. It's always going to be in the very bottom of the page. So you're not going to ever see a judge's signature random somewhere else. It's always going to be in the bottom. And it's always going to say that it's a judge. Okay. Super important. We need everybody in the community to learn the difference so they can stay safe. Now, even before you have any contact with ICE, there are steps that we can take right now so that we're better prepared. Number one, do carry valid documents that prove your legal status if you have them. Social Security card, driver's license, real ID, driver's license, maybe, a green card, whatever you have. As long as it's valid, show it. Number two, do not carry false documents. There are a lot of places in San Jose, and especially Tropicana Food Center over on King and Story, where you can go into that parking lot and you can buy anything. You can buy fake ID, fake driver's license, fake Social Security card, fake work authorization card, anything you can find. Now, a lot of people go that route when they're looking for work and they've got to have documentation. We don't judge anyone, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to do that. You've got to do that. However, any kind of document that is false, if you submit it to ICE right away, it will be noticed, and you'll be in a lot more problems than you need. A lot of times they just deport you. Make a family plan. We're going to go into that in a minute. Do an immigration check. We're going to also go on that in a minute as well. Family protection plan, super important. If you're probably on this call, you probably have kids. And this is one of the things that folks worry about the most. What's going to happen to my kids if something happens to me? So we ask that you make a child care plan. And this is a plan for a trusted adult to care for your child or your children if you're unable to do so, especially in an immigration emergency. You got deported. So you got to include emergency numbers, important contacts, and essential documents. I'm going to show you an example of what it looks like. We do another presentation where we actually show you how to fill it out, but this is an example, okay? For each child, you've got to have one filled out. Child's name, their school, the phone number, their teacher's name, the classroom number, if they have any after-school programs, if they're in sports, they have allergies, any kind of medical condition, do they use an inhaler? Any medication they probably take on a daily basis is going to be good for the person who's going to care for your kids to know about this. So we ask all the parents to write all this down. One packet for each child. You include the doctor's number, their address, the insurance. If they have Medi-Cal, make a copy of the card front and back because you're probably going to need it. And then on the other columns, you might need to have contact with the family of the children. If the mom's gone, maybe she can put in her brothers, her sisters who are here in this country, so that if you need to get a hold of somebody in the family, you'll have all that. Super important. Explore your immigration options. You've got to find good legal representation, especially if you're if you think that you're going to need it. And we at SIREN, we are a nonprofit that is known for legal advice. We have attorneys. We do need everyone to call. We don't make appointments like right here. You need to call and make an appointment to see if you qualify for the services. A lot of times it's at no charge, and a lot of times it's at very low cost. Okay. Know your rights. Before, when I say you did this today, maybe you guys can open your microphones and tell me what the first, second, and third rights that we mentioned in the very beginning. And I want to see if you know what was the very first right that I mentioned. Can you remember? I can't hear who's speaking, but if you can remember, anybody can remember? Very first right, I mentioned three. What's the first one? Well, I'm going to assume that you're probably trying to get onto your microphone, but I will say, if you remember, it was don't speak. You have the right to remain silent. You don't speak. Second right was, do you remember? Don't open the door to the ICE agent. So don't speak, don't open the door. Third one was don't sign anything before speaking to an attorney. So don't sign anything. Don't speak, don't open the door, don't sign anything. And if you need to get red cards, they probably have them at your schools. You should get some just in case you need them. And if you already have status, if you already have your papers in order, it's always a good idea to carry a couple because you might come across a family or someone who needs it. And that's going to be your way of helping the community out. And also, you want to inform your family and emergency contacts on how to find you if you get picked up. So we're going to show you right now how to use the ICE detainee locator. So we're going to show you right now. Very easy. It's on the website of ICE's website, and it's called the Online Detainee Locator. Very easy. Here it's in English. You can change it to any language you want, but English. And the A number is like the ID number or the account number of anybody who's dealing with ICE. So you could put in the person's A number and the country they were born in, press on blue, and you should be able to find where this person is at. A lot of people don't have an A number. So we have them do their first name, last name, the country they were born in, along with their date of birth. Press the blue and it should tell you that, where your person is. And I want to just give you an example of how fast it is. Say I got picked up at King and Story this morning. Okay. By about this time, I'm passing Bakersfield, getting to LA maybe. By the middle of the night, I will be at the border. By the morning, they will have already either sent me back to wherever I'm from in Mexico or Central America. They will have detained me in a detention center. There aren't very many in California. They're all over the country, so they could be in Texas or Ohio or something like that. Or they could be sending me home because they made a mistake. Okay, but it goes fast. So you don't look for me until I've been gone maybe a day or a night because they have to process me. But keep trying because I will be in there so you can know where I'm at and what you need to do. Okay. So before we go, we're going to do a quick reminder, a refresher of what we talked about. ICE comes to your door. Remember, you do not open the door for ICE or the Migra without proof of a signed warrant by a judge. Don't open the door. You ask them to slide the documents under the door or show it through a window. Why do we need to do that? Because we need to see if the signed warrant has the full name of the person they're looking for, that the correct full address is included, and that the judge has signed it. Now, a lot of Latinos are famous for having two names, okay? So they might say, we're looking for Juan Sanchez, okay? Well, if on Juan Sanchez's paperwork or whatever it says, it says Juan Antonio Sanchez Lopez, then that Juan Lopez, it's a wrong name, okay? Because the person has more names. For the full address, you have to have the full address, and this is really important anytime. But I'm thinking of an apartment complex. Maybe I'll be at 1234 Alum Rock Avenue, apartment 572. Okay. If they come to your house and they show you the warrant and it does not have an apartment number, well, guess what? It's wrong. So you just send it back. Come back when you have the right address for the right person. And especially if you don't see a judge's signature, make sure that you tell them, nope, take it back. I need a judge's signature. It really makes ICE angry when someone stands up for themselves and tells them, but it has to be that way because they're trying anything to try to get you into their vehicle to detain you. And you need to try everything you can to get them to leave you alone. Okay? So if no proof is shown, remember you're in your house, remain silent and keep the door locked. Sometimes if they know, well, there's no Juan Lopez here or whatever, they just leave and you're fine. But sometimes they'll wait there for a few hours or an hour or more or whatever. So just be patient. No TV, no music. It's going to be hard, but you got to just wait it out. Once you open the door, like I said, you're going to lose certain rights. And again, everything is laid out on the red card you see here. Don't open the door. Don't answer any questions. Don't sign anything. Show the card to the agent. Everything's there. Okay. Now, when you're speaking to ICE, remember that you have the right to remain silent and you don't have to answer their questions. And they will be asking you questions and questions and questions. All you have to say is, I want to remain silent until I speak with an attorney or I speak with a lawyer. So, and you need to make sure that people in your home, people, especially children and older folks, practice saying no. Is Juan Lopez here? No. Do you know Juan Lopez? No. Okay. But the easiest way for you to have ICE when they have to deal with your kids, and we go to schools and we do this all the time. I'm going to see if you can see. I'm going to put my camera back on, even though you can probably see in the picture. I'm going to show you what we tell kids to do so that ICE or any agent know that they're not going to speak. You see what the little kid does? Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Just put your hand on your mouth like that. Show your kids, put your hand on your mouth. So if ICE asks them any questions, their hands in their mouth, that's basically them telling them, I'm standing up for my rights. I'm not going to talk. Okay? Because they will try to intimidate your children most of all. Okay? You have the right to refuse to sign anything before you speak to a lawyer. If you don't understand something, don't sign it. If you don't agree with something, don't sign it. If you want to remain in the United States, make sure to say you want to go before the immigration judge. And if God help us, I hope not, you get taken and you're in custody, you will have a right to speak to a lawyer and you will have the right to make a phone call. It's always a good practice to memorize the phone number of who you want to call. We tell the family either memorize mom's or dad's. Moms usually answer before dad, but either way, memorize one of the parents' calls in case of an emergency. Because if I go and look in your phones right now, I probably won't see a number in the phones. I'll see names. I'll see Johnny's school. I'll see mom. I'll see babe, whatever. I won't see the number. Try to memorize one number. It'll help you in that. It'll help you in the long run. Now, we're going to practice some key phrases. This is the last thing before we go. And I would like you to please open your microphone. And the reason that I want us to practice saying them, God help us that I hope we never need to use them, but it is good practice to know what to say. Okay. So if you open your microphones and I'm going to say them and you're going to repeat after me. Okay. I do not want to answer any of your questions. Repeat after me. I'm assuming you're saying it because I'm not hearing it, but I do like to hear it because we need to make sure that we're normalizing saying this. I am using my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Repeat after me. Do you have a warrant? Please repeat. Please pass it under the door. Repeat. I do not consent to your entry. Please repeat. Am I being detained? Repeat. Am I free to go? And if they're trying to pat you down, you say, I do not give you permission to search me. And if they already have you in custody, this is what you say. I do not want to talk to you until I talk to a lawyer. So it's super important that, you kind of start practicing those kind of things. It's very sad that we have to, but it's very important. And if you want a copy of this, you can always ask your school to contact Anna, and she's got a copy. She can get this to you. So before we go, and this is the last thing we're going to talk about, uh, we call them protection points or things you need to remember so that you and your family can remain safe and remain together if possible. Number one, remember to keep silent. Number two, don't open the door. Number three, talk to a lawyer before anything. Number four, don't sign anything. Number five, show the red card. Number six, do not show false documents. Number seven, stay calm. Don't run. Why don't we run? Because we look guilty when we run. And a lot of people just run if they get scared. But law enforcement is to know that. So no running. Eight, make a family plan. We've already talked about that. And number nine is super important, ladies and gentlemen. It's like, end of the day, we're not going to be with you. I wish we could, but we're not going to be with you. So you're going to have to do whatever you think is right for you and your family. It's going to be your decision. What I hope is that this information that we've given to you will help you. Will help you, will help your family, can help your neighbors, can help your family, can help your coworkers, whoever. Share this with anyone you want. And if you need to get a hold of Siren, I'm going to show you. This is how you find us. Um, all of our handles for social media. Our phone number is 453-3003. We're here in San Jose. We also have an office in Fresno. And before we go, I did want to share one more thing with you all. And this is probably more important now than it was when we were starting out to do these presentations. And I want to speak to you. Let me just get to that point. So, get to it. I want to speak to you about it because it's very, very important right now. And let me see. Okay, Rapid Response Network. And if someone can just let me know that can you see it or do I need to reshare it?
I
Anna,
can see it.
Okay, this is super important. These are the yellow cards. Okay, they have a red card and yellow card. This is what I call immigration or Migra 911. If you see any ICE activity, if you think you see random unmarked vehicles by your school or by your house, or if you see folks walking around with uniforms, you don't have to tell us what that if it's ICE or not. That's for us to go and find out. But we do ask that you call us because this number is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's in English and in Spanish, and if there's any other kind of language, we have interpreters to help get the word out. So we would like just to put that out there so that you know if you see ICE on the street, if ICE knocks on your door, if ICE detains a loved one, to call as soon as possible. The reason that we ask you to call as soon as possible is because everything happens so fast. And we want to make sure we get to the location to make sure that number one, that it's ICE, that they're not doing anything illegal, that they're doing things where they're supposed to do. This number is super, super important. So I'm hoping you took a picture of it or you took the number down because it's going to really help you along with everything else that we told you. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.